Good morning and welcome to Friday with the Rev. I'm Greg Johnson. I'm broadcasting today live once again from New York City, and I want to welcome you to this program of family caregiving, spirituality, and faith. It's a series of conversations, as many of you know, that began as the result of wonderful opportunities in the summer in Asia, where I've had the privilege of speaking with many of you, and we wanted to continue those conversations regarding family caregiving, faith, and spirituality. I'm the president and CEO of GJP International, Greg Johnson Partnerships International, and this is a weekly broadcast. I want to thank you so very, very much for being with me and for sharing this broadcast. Last week, we had an enormous number of persons who participated in this, and I had emails and messages from many of you all over the world, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And I urge you, please share these broadcasts. They're obviously free. They are simply a conversation that unites us in the world of family caregiving, which is truly golden rule living. And I'm so grateful that you are here with me this morning. Now, as always, while we're waiting for certain folks to be joining us, I like to share with you contact information. If you would like to be in touch with me, and I'm always delighted for your contact, you may do so using Facebook and the various channels that are available there, or you can email me, and the easiest email for me is the one at Emblem Health, where I have the privilege of serving as the chief advisor to the CEO for family caregiving. And that email is gjohnson@emblemhealth.com. One word, emblemhealth.com. So I invite you to use that email to be in touch with me and to let me know of any questions, any thoughts, any topics that you'd like me to be talking about that are perhaps very important presently in your life and in your ministry and in your work. That's what we want to do. We want to be relevant to the needs of our caregivers, or our carers, as we're known most of the world. We want to be relevant to those needs that you're having. Also, if you're looking for caregiving information, I want to again remind you that one of the best resources that, and I'm a bit prejudiced on this, but that is in a totally inclusive nature, is the website at Emblem Health. And you can reach that just by Googling www.emblemhealth.com/care for the family caregiver, one whole word. And also, these broadcasts are archived through the YouTube channel that's been created. And the YouTube channel, where you can find other broadcasts that you've heard, all of them are there, along with some other programming that I feel might indeed help you, might give you new ideas, and support you in your family caregiving work. And that that YouTube channel is Family Caregiving with the Rev. Family Caregiving with the Rev. So please use it, share it. That's what it's all about. Now, this morning, I want to take on the topic of spirituality. Now, there are two words that always come together when we're talking about spirituality. People talk of religion, they talk of spirituality. I'm not discussing religion. And it's very interesting. I'm just going to show you this very quickly because that's not the topic this morning. One of the first things when you Google the word religion is they say, no one can agree on the definition. Well, all we have to do is look at the world and we'd see that. These are I don't know that you can see this, but these are pages worth of definitions. I believe in a religion. It has played an important part in my life. But I do believe that we need to step one step back to appreciate the world of spirituality. And I particularly think of the Genesis passage. The earth was without form and void. In other words, there was nothing established. And the Spirit moved upon us. I think of that as the spirit of Richard Rohr, Father Richard Rohr's new book. If you have opportunity, take and read it, The Universal Christ, in its most expansive and inclusive form. All people are sacred and of great sacred worth. We need to remember that, but not just people. The earth, the creatures, it is all sacred, it is good, and it is divine. Where we've gotten into trouble very frequently is as dogma has come in. And one group said this and one group said that. That's not the essence of this program. But what I am doing in this very brief introduction is to say, keep digging, keep questioning, keep asking, but ask from a spiritual perspective, a going within. And so I'm going to begin with a prayer, and then I'm going to be sharing with you, because it is spirituality, the essence of how we make our decisions, how we make our understanding of the world, of who am I, what am I doing here? What is all this that's happening to me that I don't understand? And we're not going to know all of the answers. We're promised that in just about every theology. But we are known that we are going to have strength and that we are going to be in the essence of the moment. I love to use the definition for spirituality as being the essence of. And in your spirituality, in your understanding of how you make your decisions, it may have a religious component, it may not. It may have had at one time, and perhaps you're one of the people who was wounded by somebody else's religion. Well, you don't have to live in that wound. You don't have to live in that wound. You can release it and move forward and find that which is meaningful to you. And family caregiving is often like other things, addiction, sickness, and so forth. It becomes the vehicle that blesses us with forcing us to go deeper and to go within. And as a person whose ministry is totally about family caregiving, I'm always so grateful to be honored to walk with people through their journeys, that they will share with me ways in which they've been hurt, in which they've been totally confused, in which they've been abused. But we can begin to go forward, healing the past, and frankly, becoming wounded healers as we help others. Now, let us begin with a prayer, one that I wrote this week as I was considering this topic, which is so important. So let us take just a moment to be still, to quiet our agendas, and to be ready to begin the new day. The eternal God is thy refuge. The divine is a sanctuary, a refuge from the cares of life. Help us to know we can get away from the misunderstandings of others by retiring into our own place of meditation. And from ourselves, from our sense of failure, our weakness, our shortcomings. Help us also to go to you, the divine refuge, and know that underneath are the everlasting arms. And as we rest in your arms, the immense power of your Spirit envelops us, and our spirits find rest, its rest and harmony within you. These words from a morning meditation remind me of the need to ever be building my spiritual center. At birth, you, O source of all life and breath, entered into me, and together we entered this world. Yet it has been my journey to find you there within my being, and at the core, life itself. Help me daily to remember that in prayer I am talking with you, sharing with you, pouring out my human concerns, and that is good and necessary. But it is not all, for with prayer must come meditation, where I sit quietly, where I am still and hear your voice, feel your love. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. Peace. During the very busy holiday season, help me even more so to take time to pray and meditate each day. Help me to find the pattern that works best for me and begin right there. I do not need to travel to distant shores, for you, O God, O source of life itself. You are always, you always have been, and you always will be one with me. Awaken me this joy, this gift, this light that shines in the darkness. O come, Emmanuel, God with us. Peace, be still. And it is so. Now, when we hear the word spirituality, there are those of us who think, oh, I've got to get off to India. I've got to go back to Bali. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. You don't have to go anywhere. It's within you already. And that's the biggest journey, because we're going from here to here. You've heard me talk of that so often. This past week, a friend of mine, Reverend Jerry Fetterly, put on Facebook a delightful statement about spirituality. And I immediately said, oh yes, I must share this. Because sometimes in defining something, it's to go to the negative, to say this is not what it is, that helps us to see what it is. Spirituality is not owning crystals, doing yoga, becoming a vegan, becoming a hippie. Don't think you have to fall into trends in order to tune in to your spirit. Connect to your higher self in your own way and expand your consciousness so you can reach your highest potential, your calling, which awaits. Now, as is always true, to go forward, we often need to pause and let go of the past. And many traditions have many different ways of doing that, many different faiths, religions. I want to share one with you from the Buddhist tradition, because it's forgiveness, which is in all faith traditions, that allows us the freedom to move forward within ourselves and within the world. And so let us begin with this wonderful, wonderful prayer, a Buddhist prayer for forgiveness. If I have harmed in any way, if I have harmed anyone in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through my own confusions, I ask their forgiveness. If anyone has harmed me in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through their own confusions, I forgive them. And if there is a situation I am not yet ready to forgive, I forgive myself for that. For all the ways that I harm myself, negative, doubt, belittling myself, judging, or being unkind to myself, through my own confusions, I forgive myself. And it is so. That's a wonderful prayer to begin our day. A number of years ago at Emblem Health, Dr. Leonard Reach, who is the head of the psychiatry division in mental health, he and I had the privilege of doing many programs on spirituality. And the two of us, coming from diverse religious faith, he from the Jewish tradition, mine from Christian, did this program together because both of us deeply loved, respected, and lived by the statement of the great theologian Teilhard de Chardin, in which he states to us, we are not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. No, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are presently locked in time and space. Hear that again. We are not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. At the moment, we are locked in time and space. We have come from and we will return to. And the gift is you have a lifetime to put nouns that are appropriate to your earthly present understanding. And Dr. Risch put together this a piece of this that I'm going to share with you this morning. What allows us, he writes, to have a human experience, and what does it mean to be a spiritual being? What are the qualities of human beings? Form, thought, consciousness, finality. Here comes one I love. Ego gives rise to awareness, thought, and self. That's important. Ego is about self-preservation, self-enhancement, success plays, purpose, position in life. Ego allows us to adapt to our social environment, but is also the basis of our suffering. Let me read that one again. Ego, necessary, allows us to adapt to our social environment, but is also the basis of our suffering. For those of you familiar with the 12-step world, you know that ego is often defined as an acronym. Edging God, however you define that, out. Edging God out. And suffering comes. Now, what are the pieces of the qualities of a spiritual being? Eternal energy. Takes form through birth and consciousness, returns to energy through death, and produces karmic energies. Spiritual energy is like a snowflake. It is both perfect and unique as it is. Spiritual energy treats all existence as sacred. Spiritual energy is beyond thought, judgment, time, and space. It is the unmanifest. Spiritual energy is impermanent, always changing, and interdependent with other energy forces. And he goes on to write, awakening to our spiritual being is the end of our suffering. Spiritual practices help us balance our ego capacities with our fundamental right to eternal joy and happiness. Meditation, prayer are skillful means and vehicles to achieve the balance between ego responsibilities and spiritual enlightenment. The vehicles to achieve a balance between ego responsibilities and spiritual enlightenment. Now, last week we ended the program by doing a loving kindness meditation. It happens to be one that I do every day, and it happens to be one that Dr. Risch himself does every day, and we've talked of that so very many times. So if you did not participate in that, I invite you to go back to last week's tape and listen to it and perhaps incorporate it into your own spiritual practices. Because with those practices, we go within. We go within to that source of life, that breath, the Ruach Elohim, the breath of the divine, the breath of God. And that breath we take again and again and again. It is why in practices that we use in meditation, we go to breath, because breath was and remains the beginning, the starting point. And that breath is for all eternity, not just the human breath. And those of us who have been around death have seen that spirit move onward. Nothing wrong with admitting that. Now, this morning, I want to end our broadcast, and before I do, I just want to make a couple of notes. I've put them down here so that I won't forget. Those of you who are in New York City on Sunday morning during December, I am returning at the Marble Collegiate Church, 5th Avenue and 29th Street at 10 a.m. to do prayer circle. And if you're in New York, if you're visiting, or if you live here, we'd love to see you. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to meet you if I've not met you. I'd love to be with you once again for those of you whom I know and love. And please feel free to come and join us 10 o'clock at Marble. In January, I'm going to again begin doing a journey through the book, Peace Be Still, Prayers and Affirmations for Family Caregivers. Since it was written, I've grown. Since we last did it together, we've all grown. And so going back to a source that is designed very much for family caregivers will give us a text. It will also give you the opportunity. And that book, I had the privilege of writing it with Reverend Marian Gambardella, Peace Be Still, Prayers and Affirmations for Family Caregivers, is available on Amazon. And that's not a commercial plug, but that's where it's available if you want to read along with me as we have a journey through that book, which I pray will bless your caregiving journey. And it seems an appropriate place to start for the new year. And also, I'm having a number of people who have been asking me to consider doing a brief, maybe 10-day trip in Indonesia come July. So if you're at all interested in having what I call Indonesia with the Rev, you know it's been my second home and I love it deeply. We'd be into Bali and we would go over to Jogja, one of the spiritual centers of the world and of Indonesia. So we would have the privilege of traveling together. Just send me a private email and I would love to share that with you. There are a number of people who are watching who we will visit, I promise you. Some wonderful, wonderful people in the arts and in the music world, people who are thinkers and fellow caregivers. Now, today, as we conclude the broadcast, I'm going to read something very beautiful that was written by our wonderful friend, Father Richard Rohr. We've spoken today of meditation, one of the great gateways to our spirituality. Prayer is another part of that. And here is what Father Rohr writes. Prayer is sitting in the silence until it silences us. Prayer is choosing gratitude until we are grateful. And prayer is praising God until we ourselves are an act of praise. May that be our goal. May each of us journey to be an act of praise as we live, honor, and cherish the sacredness of each and every human being. God bless you, and thank you so much for being with me this morning. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Friday with the Rev. God bless and have a wonderful, wonderful week.